Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm Scott Beadle. Winter Storm Landon passed through the southern tier yesterday, blanketing the region with snow and ice. Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst was out and about this afternoon, checking on the cleanup efforts for tonight's top story.
Good evening. Snow blanketed the southern tier throughout the night last night, giving residents and road crews plenty to clean up when they woke up this morning. The city of Corning woke up to several inches of snow and ice covering the roads and sidewalks, and many residents spent hours shoveling everything out.
It's taken me 3 hours.
Last night it was about a couple hours. This morning was about a couple hours.
This is the second snowstorm that has hit the region in a span of 2 weeks. Residents Kathy Telehaney and Brian Fusco say the ice brought by Winter Storm Landon have made clearing things out a little more challenging.
And when I went to move the truck, the door was frozen because of the ice.
We're dealing with a lot of heavy stuff underneath, so this is like pushing through a lot of stuff. With many neighborhood streets remaining unplowed for most of the day, many residents limited their travel plans. Probably staying inside, watching some Netflix, doing that stuff. The winter storm warning is expected to expire later tonight. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
The moving wall will return to the Twin Tiers over the summer. The wall is a half-sized traveling replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. The wall is a way for veterans and their families who haven't been to the D.C. monument to pay their respects. The wall will be installed in Eldridge Park in Elmira on June 30th. At least 2 houses are destroyed after a fire in Brooklyn. Firefighters receiving a call just after 7 this morning. The fire broke out on Bay 35th Street and spread to 2 adjacent buildings. Debris could be seen on the ground throughout the residential neighborhood. A nearby resident says she smelled gas throughout the night.
Here was an explosion. There was a smell of gas. As you see, there are 3 buildings that are involved. It appears as though the origin of this explosion took place in an unoccupied building. The building next door was occupied. As it stands now, the preliminary investigation reveals that we don't appear to have anyone that was inside the building that was totally destroyed.
There were no injuries reported from the fire.
New video released today of the deadly police shooting of a black man inside his Minneapolis apartment on Wednesday. This is body cam video of the moment officers walked into 22-year-old Amir Locke's home. Officers with a no-knock warrant used a key to unlock the door. Then, at least 4 officers can be seen rushing in with someone yelling, "Police search warrant." Locke is on his couch, wrapped up in a blanket, and is barely visible as he gets up. That's when officers fire, shooting him 3 times. Police froze video of the moment to show what appears to be Locke holding a gun. Locke's family describes him as a law-abiding citizen with no criminal record. They've now retained civil rights attorney Ben Krupp to represent them.
I'm shocked, to say the least, because I know that Minnesota was one of the cities that pledged after Breonna Taylor was unjustly and unnecessarily and unconstitutionally killed in Louisville, Kentucky, that they were going to stop doing no-knock warrants, that they were going to abolish them. But yet, we have this happen to Amir Locke.
An investigation into the shooting is now underway. Locke was not named in the search warrant police were serving.
The January jobs report out today shows the U.S. added 467,000 new jobs despite the Omicron surge. Madeline Rivera has more.
It's never happened before. And look, history's been made here.
The White House got a boost Friday. The U.S. added 467,000 jobs in January. The growth surprising expectations, even as the Omicron variant sidelined many workers.
It surprises me greatly. I'm shocked at this number. A couple of things I would say about it. Number one is it seems to contradict Maria, so many of the other signs of the economy, which over the last 5 or 6 weeks have been really weak.
Leisure and hospitality, business services, and retail saw the biggest gains. But the unemployment rate rose slightly from 3.9% in December to 4%.
We're in a very different position than we were in March, April, May, June of 2021.
The latest Labor Department report comes after initial disappointing numbers in November and December, showing a slowdown in hiring. However, those counts have since been revised up by more than 700,000.
I was looking for the revisions for the previous months because it's just perplexing.
Still, economic experts urge caution with inflation red hot, cutting into workers' wage gains.
With interest rates where they are, the real interest rate has been negative. So you can see why people are going to start borrowing, consumers are going to start borrowing.
Economists say the labor market's outlook still depends on the effects of the pandemic, but there's some optimism there too as COVID infections drop. In Washington, Mather Rivera, Fox News.
As more U.S. troops arrive in Eastern Europe, the Pentagon says Russia is planning on staging a fake attack by the Ukrainian military. Steve Harrigan is in Ukraine with the story.
More American troops arriving in Eastern Europe as NATO bolsters its defensive positions around Ukraine. Russian forces doing the same, sending more units to Belarus as part of a massive series of military drills there. The U.S. also shipping more weapons to NATO allies, like this delivery of Black Hawk helicopters to Croatia, all part of the plan to deter Russia's military.
Me and the rest of our formation in here, we're just ready to go and support whatever the nation needs us to do. And whatever that means we do, that's what we will do.
And we're learning more about how a potential conflict could start. The Pentagon claiming that Russia is preparing propaganda videos that show Ukrainians using American arms to kill Russians in an attempt to drag the region into war.
And that's just one of other things that we know they're trying to do to create a pretext for an invasion. They have been long in the public sphere calling out Ukraine as the aggressor, calling out the West for arming Ukraine.
Meanwhile, diplomatic activity is also picking up. Russian President Vladimir Putin meeting with his Chinese counterpart, touting the close relationship between Moscow and Beijing, while the U.S. signs new defense agreements with regional partners, showing solidarity in the face of the growing threat.
This agreement makes it easier for our militaries to coordinate on common defensive efforts.
U.S. presence in Europe is vital for both sides of the Atlantic.
When you talk to people here, they are beginning to make plans about where to go in case of a potential Russian invasion. In Kiev, Ukraine, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, a growing number of hospitals facing worker shortages are getting help from foreign nurses, using them to fill employment gaps and to take care of COVID patients. More on this unique and controversial strategy coming up.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
All right, thanks again for checking in as we take a look at your local forecast. And thankfully, the major winter storm is ending, and we're going to have some quieter conditions into this upcoming weekend. But in the wake of that big storm, we're talking about some cold conditions both Saturday and Sunday. And then looking out into next week, temperatures will gradually warm to at even slightly above average temperatures. But again, walking away with anywhere from, say, half a foot to more than a foot north of town, and then lighter amounts to the south and east of us. That's where we had more of a mixture of sleet and snow and even some icing. But we are going to see some low clouds stick around yet through the overnight hours and early morning hours of Saturday. So again, if you see a stray flurry or light snow shower, don't be surprised at that. But generally some clearing out again Saturday with cold conditions. Sunday we'll have some sunshine, temperatures running a little bit warmer than Saturday. And then overall, pretty quiet stretch of weather, as I mentioned, through most of next week. Next week, by the way, is your first full week of February. So tonight dropping down to 7. Again, maybe a couple of isolated snow showers. It would be very light, a very minor coating is about all we'll see. North to northwesterly winds at around 5 to 10 miles per hour and an average low of 15. So again, below where we should be for this time of the year in terms of overnight lows. So that low cloud deck kind of sticks around overnight into your early Saturday morning. Again, a few isolated snow showers will be possible, but temperatures generally ranging from the lower single digits to the upper single digits. Then you factor in the wind, and our coldest wind chill values heading out the door early Saturday morning could be down to, again, maybe 9 below in some spots here, 4 below in Elmira, and hovering right around that 0 mark as you travel off to the south and east. So again, definitely chilly. Make sure you bundle up as you head out the door Saturday. Again, temperatures here topping out in the teens and 20s as we head through the day Saturday. So we'll be a little bit on the cooler side, of course, with those averages above that, but some sunshine nonetheless. As I mentioned, we could have a few leftover clouds in the morning with some straight snow showers, but into the mid-teens through the afternoon with the northwesterly wind. That'll be around, say, 10 to maybe 15 miles per hour. So that will make it feel more like the single digits, even though we'll be into the teens. All right, looking at those temperatures here on Saturday into the teens. Again, maybe a couple of lower 20s, but your average high is 34. Maybe some light snow showers early in the day to the north and west. Then daytime highs on Saturday, getting closer to average, which is, again, in the mid-30s. We'll be topping out close to that mark in a few spots to the west of town. But the overall extended temperature outlook in a mid-month does keep us on a cooler note here. All right, so an outlook for the next 7 days, generally dry. We may have some cloud cover at times with a couple of light snow showers here and there, but it will be warmer on Monday as we top out at 37. Have a good one.
Many American hospitals are on life support as they work to combat a crippling nursing shortage escalated by the pandemic. Kevin Cork has more on the unique and controversial strategy being used to offer some relief.
Nursing shortages, exacerbated by the pandemic, continue plaguing hospitals, forcing medical facilities nationwide to seek healthcare workers from foreign countries to help fill the steep employment gaps. But why are U.S. hospitals reaching out to international countries for help? Well, for starters, health officials say there simply aren't enough nurses graduating from U.S. programs each year to rely on. And the country may need as much qualified help as it can get. In fact, according to data collected by the University of St. Augustine for Health Sciences, the U.S. will need roughly 1.2 million new nurses by 2030 to account for these ongoing shortages. Added to that, there are a number of states that are already experiencing severe staffing issues, including California, Texas, and New Jersey. But this strategy is still facing some scrutiny.
It's a bit similar to what we've seen with PPE and with vaccines as well, where rich countries have used their economic might to buy and to hoard. And if they do that with the nursing workforce, it will just make the inequity even worse, the shortages worse for many of those countries who are losing their nurses.
According to the International Council of Nurses, the U.S. isn't alone in these practices. Canada, the UK, and Germany are also looking overseas to make up for shortages in their nursing ranks. I'm Kevin Cork.
Super Bowl 56 is almost here, and the teasers are rolling out for those high-priced commercials. From ads full of celebrities to those full of heart, we're taking a look at some of the other stars of the big game. Here's Ashley Dvorkin.
Oh, Blaze.
The big game is bringing high anticipation for game day ads.
I'll start off with the Anheuser-Busch beverages. So they've got 6 ads spanning 4 minutes of Super Bowl time. And so the one that I think is going to catch everybody and really enjoy it is there's a 60-second ad from Michelob that's got Steve Buscemi in it. It's got Peyton Manning in it. Budweiser teased that the Clydesdale and the Golden Retriever are going to be back. So might get a nice heartwarming ad there. And outside of the beer brands, you've got Lay's, which has Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen in a teaser.
Among other celebrities joining are Hannah Waddingham.
Rakuten is in the game for the first time ever. They're looking to make a really big splash.
I've got a commercial.
Plus Idris Elba for Booking.com.
He gets some advice in the teaser from 2 of the greatest pitchmen in advertising history, the most interesting man in the world, and the Old Spice I'm on a Horse guy, Sayed Mustafa.
How quickly did ad space sell out, and how much are they going for compared to last year?
Yeah, so this is interesting because they were mostly sold out by summer, which is a record. Over $6 million for an ad this year. It's never been above 6 before. It's a huge leap in terms of cost, and NBC is actually roping in making advertisers advertise in the Winter Olympics as well as the Super Bowl to get into this game.
And themes this year, feel good and funny.
Almost every single teaser and full ad we've seen has been straight up comedy. We know like Budweiser's almost going to certainly pull on the heartstrings, and there might be a few others that do.
We're teasing commercials now?
After 22 seasons, Tom Brady made it official this week when he announced his retirement. Matt Napolitano takes a look at the decision and Brady's legacy in the game.
Tom Brady's story in the NFL is truly that of an underdog, a fifth-round selection in the 2000 NFL Draft, going on to win 7 Super Bowls, more rings than any other player in history.
As it relates to the greatest football player of all time, I know Jim Brown would have a lot to say about it, but in my opinion, and I think the majority of most people's opinions, it will be Tom Brady.
The GOAT, greatest of all time, is often synonymous with Brady's career, but his exit may not have been. ESPN reported his retirement last weekend with Brady's reps, his TB12 company, and even his father calling the reports false. He then appeared on his Let's Go podcast Monday, again saying he hadn't decided about retiring, only to follow that up with an Instagram post on Tuesday calling it quits. The numbers speak for themselves. Brady, a 5-time Super Bowl MVP, the all-time leader in passing yards and touchdowns, and the most wins by a QB. Of course, some hurdles, a 4-game suspension related to the Deflategate scandal for Brady's alleged involvement in the removing of air from balls used in the 2015 AFC Championship game, and the fallout in recent years with longtime head coach Bill Belichick. However, love him or hate him, Tom Brady's performance on the football field is something that has forever changed the game. And foreshadowing what's more or less a foregone conclusion at this point, the Pro Football Hall of Fame announced that Tom Brady will be eligible for induction in 2027.
Candy makers say to expect shortages this Valentine's Day. Hershey's says they're running low on Valentine's Day candy. The company says despite adding production lines and workers, it's still not enough to supply its products to retailers. Candy products as a whole have about 1 out of 5 items out of stock at the average store. Amazon says it's increasing its Prime membership prices for the first time in 3 years. The company announced the hike for its Prime members in the U.S. due to rising costs. Monthly memberships will go from $12.99 to $14.99, while annual subscriptions will increase $20. The changes will be effective for new members on February 18th, while existing members will see the increase on the date of their next renewal after March 25th. Key lime pie might be the official state pie of Florida, but it's not the only sweet treat. 2 state lawmakers are pushing to add strawberry shortcake to the official dessert list. Catherine Hawley has the story.
The Sunshine State may be known for citrus, but don't worry, there's no food fight here. Key lime pie is already Florida's state pie. This session, lawmakers are debating which dessert is named the state's official post-dinner treat.
This was an idea that Representative Lawrence McClure and I kind of brainstormed together because we are both so very proud to be representing the great city of Plant City, Florida.
Grab some sweet biscuits, top it with a healthy dollop of whipped cream, add a layer of juicy strawberries, and you have a tasty strawberry shortcake. Last week, the Senate unanimously voted to make it the state's official dessert.
We can have our cake and eat it too.
Plant City is the heart of our strawberry industry, and it brings sweet success to the state. More than 10,000 acres of the fruit are planted in that area every year. The fields make up nearly 75% of the nation's winter strawberry crop.
The pillars of our economy in the state is agriculture, and the strawberry industry is one of the biggest components to that. I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars of economic impact. It's profound.
And the treat is already a fan favorite. About 200,000 strawberry shortcakes are served every year at the Florida Strawberry Festival. But lawmakers aren't just plating up a slice. It also needs to be dressed with something homegrown.
In keeping with the theme of fresh from Florida, we decided to make sure that our whipped cream, in order to identify what is the true Florida champion of strawberry shortcakes, it would, of course, have to have natural Florida dairy.
A new state symbol we can all stomach. Catherine Hawley, Fox 13 News.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. The Northern Lights brightened the night sky over Glacier Bay National Park and Preserve in Alaska. The Aurora Borealis putting on the light show this past Sunday at the national park. That glow comes from collisions between fast-moving electrons from the region of space controlled by Earth's magnetic field and oxygen and nitrogen molecules in the upper atmosphere. The colors depend on whether electrons collide with oxygen or nitrogen and how energetically they do so. Most of the time it appears as green, but red, blue, and purple may also appear. Those northern lights do put on a show. Hey, thanks for being with us tonight. Have a great weekend.